Hey, if you're a weightlifter, you might have heard that yoga can help you, but you're not sure where you can find yoga that fits for your body. And if so, you're in the right place. This is a full body yoga flow for strength, balance, and mobility, specifically designed for lifters. You can use this as a warm up, it can be a recovery flow, or even just a midday movement break. If you find it useful, be sure to like the video and subscribe. There are more of these videos on the way, and we've got hundreds of videos here to help you get stronger and more flexible with videos specifically made for men. Enjoy.
All right, so let's start off. So one thing that you are going to need, so I do recommend that you have blocks. So the blocks can be helpful, especially if you're tighter through hips or hamstrings, which most guys are. We're also going to be using a knee pad. Now, if you don't have a knee pad, we can just use a sweatshirt. You can use any sort of pad. You could use a hip thrust pad, whatever you have. And yeah, that's it. Cool. All right, so let's start up feet between the blocks. Yep, and we're just going to start in that standing position. Good. All right, and so we're going to focus more on the poses as we start, and then as we get through it, we'll speed it up maybe a little bit. We'll also start talking about some tips with how to use the breath to complement the movements. But for now, just worry about the poses because adding that all together at once could be difficult. Okay, let's go ahead and lift your arms up. Good. That feels good. Well, for me too. Yeah. And then we're going to step back into a lunge. So left foot steps back. And then keep your leg up in the air. Good. Hands are on the blocks for some support. And your back heel is going to be off the ground, but pushing that back heel toward the ground so we got a little bit of the ankle, a little bit of the calf, gastroc active here. Go ahead and lift your arms up. Come into let's call it a high lunge here, or kind of the top of a split squat. So we're going to feel the hips opening up here, a lot of hip flexors, a little bit of challenging with the balance, right? This isn't a super passive exercise. This does have some endurance aspect to it. And then go ahead and lower your hands to the blocks. And then from here, we're going to come to a supported airplane. So you're going to lean forward, balance on that right foot, lift your left leg up in the air, and push down through your right foot, straightening that leg just as much as you comfortably can with your back still flat. And this is where even, so Austin, if you want to stack your blocks here, so put one block on top of the other block.
Oh.
Yeah. So put one block on top of the other block.
Oh, here.
So that'll lift it up a little bit. So that way you can get higher so your legs straighter. That way it's not going to be as demanding for your lower body. Yep, just like that. Cool. Yep. So, and he's doing a good job of keeping active through the back foot. Just depending on how much gas you've got in the tank, you can be more active with that back leg or not. From here, we're going to step back to that lunge that you were in. Yep. Good. I'm going to separate the blocks back to what they were before, and then go ahead and release your back knee down onto the pad. If you have it, you might have to play around with positioning here. And we're going to come into a kneeling lunge. Now here I want you to, best you can, allow your hips to come forward just as much as flexibility allows here. It's going to be a bit more of an intense stretch of the hip flexors, depending on feet placement here. So one other way to do this, so if you were to bring your left foot back a little bit, or sorry, your right foot back a little bit here. Yep, then you'll be able to get a little bit more dorsiflexion. So now the knee can come forward past the toes. So just depending on what you need, there's lots of ways to change up this lunge. So just feel free to take options here and do what feels good for your body today in this moment. Cool. All right, and then from here, we're going to come back up to a standing position. So just go ahead and stand up. Feet come back between the blocks like you did before. Yep. And we're all the way up. Good. And then we're going to add some shoulders. So go ahead and lift your arms up. You're going to grab your left wrist with your right hand. Yep. There we go. Right and left. It's hard, man. And then lean up and over toward your right. Yeah. So just an assisted side bend. And the focus here isn't so much on the depth. I want you to really think about getting tall, so getting really upright through your body. And then if you can go a little bit more, a little deeper into the pose, a little deeper into the bend, that's cool. But thinking about strength first and then depth. Good. Then we're going to come back to the middle. Go ahead and swap hands. Take a deep breath in, get as tall as you can, lift up. And then as you exhale, lean toward the other side. And you're going to feel the lats opening up. You're going to feel that whole side body opening up all the way from the hip up through the shoulder. Try to slow down your breathing here. it's kind of natural to want to tighten up and forget to breathe. So just remind yourself to breathe, especially whenever you notice that you're not breathing. And that's how you get better at the breathing aspect. It's just practice. Yep. And we're going to come back to the middle. Go ahead and release your hands. Let them come down by your sides. That's one side. Okay. Other side. So let's go ahead and lift the arms up. Yep. Spend a couple seconds here just opening up, pressing the arms out. I like to think pressing the arms out of the sockets on me, just getting that space. And then when you're ready, go ahead and let the hands come down to the blocks. You're going to bend your knees here, right? So we're not rounding your back. One thing you want to avoid, I'm just going to do this on you, Austin, just to show people what they don't want to do. So if you were to straighten your legs completely and then let your lumbar spine like really come up high, like make a C shape with your spine. So like if you weren't flexible through your hamstrings, you would do this ugly C shape with the spine. So instead what I want you to do is bend your knees. There we go. So you're bending your knees and you're going to straighten your legs as much as you can while maintaining a mostly neutral spine, right? So this is much better than having that kind of hump shape with the back. Cool. All right. Let's move on. Going into the lunge, you're going to step your right leg back.
Hey guys, if you're liking this video and you like the fitness-centric, male-centric approach to yoga that we do here, I encourage you to try a free 30-day challenge. It's right here on the YouTube channel. There's no email address required. Just click the link in the description below and you can get started right away.
Yep, and that heel presses toward the ground. We're getting a nice firm foundation through the lower body. And when you're ready, go ahead and lift your arms up, stacking hips, shoulders, and your arms. Arm variations here. If you're tighter through the shoulders, it might feel uncomfortable to bring your arms straight up. So one way to kind of make that easier, bring your elbows level with the shoulders. And then you can also get some nice scapular retraction here. So really squeezing the shoulder blades together just like you would in a rowing exercise. Yeah, looks good. All right, and then we're going to go into airplane. So hands come to the blocks. And then sometimes it helps, right, like we did before. We actually have tall blocks, so you can just use this one. And I would put the blocks in front of your feet for the airplane for support. You're going to kind of lean forward, shift that weight to the left foot. So you want to try and make it as fluid as possible. You know, it takes some skill to develop, but try to make it a smooth transition if you can. Build some balance and proprioception, a little bit of core strength.
Am I sinking into this hip?
You're going to be pretty neutral. You're trying to stay neutral through the hips. So you're going to be really active through your left hip. So really pushing down through the foot. I find that if you're active through the foot, everything up the chain tends to follow. Yep, and you're doing a good job of keeping your hips square. The right leg, so that lifted leg, that back leg is active. So if you can think about squeezing the hamstring up, really pointing the toes. Sometimes you've got it, sometimes you don't, right? Just depends on fatigue levels right now. All right, and then we're going to step back to the lunge position and then go ahead and release that back knee down. So coming into a low lunge position. And once again, we kind of have some options here. So if you want to focus more on the hips, the feet can come further apart. And then if you want to focus more on the ankles, the feet can come a little bit closer together. So it just depends on what you need right now. You know, so if you're getting ready to do squats later, then it might be helpful to work a little bit deeper into the ankles just to make sure that your knees feel better during the squats. Or if you know that your hips are a problem area, then feet are a little bit further apart, and that allows you to target the hip flexors a little bit more. I like using the blocks just because that allows us to relax a little bit more into this. But if you were to take your hands off the blocks and maybe, let's say, put the hands on the thigh instead, it's just going to make it a little bit more active. So again, lots of variations here to match the pose based on what your needs are right now. Not necessarily what you do when you're at your best, but how you're feeling in this moment. All right. And then from here, we're going to come all the way back up to standing. Yep. Then we're going to go back up to that standing side bend we had before. So arms are overhead. You're going to grip your left wrist with your right hand. Big breath in to lift up. And then lean toward your right. And you can really use that right arm to kind of pull that left arm over, just depending on how much you want that stretch. I find that when I create that extra space through the shoulders, really does make a big difference. So think about getting that extra stretch, right? If you can think about this on not just the muscles, but even the fascia, the connective tissue themselves, right? Just kind of like visualizing something gooey, like sticky taffy, just slowly stretching apart. That really does help. Then come back to the middle. You're going to switch sides. Grip opposite wrist. Big breath in to lift up. As you exhale, lean toward the other side. Yep. And then once again, thinking about length here. So you're really lifting up through the chest. You're not just collapsing to the sides. Austin's doing a really good job of doing that. And right now we're spending about 3-4 breaths in each of these kind of stations. But as we speed it up, maybe you spend like 1 or 2 breaths, whatever feels good to you. All right, and then we'll come back to the middle. Good. Relax your arms down. Cool. All right, so that was 1 for each side. So now we're going to do that again and just speed it up a little bit. And hopefully now you'll notice a little bit more familiarity with the poses. Also, maybe you'll go a little bit deeper with just more ease. So, cool. Let's do it.
All right, walk me through it.
All right, inhale, arms up. Yep. And then as you're ready, exhale, lower your hands to the blocks, bend your knees, step your left foot back, come into a high lunge. Yeah. And slowly, when you're ready, you can lift your arms up, stacking your shoulders on your hips. And again, you got a couple breaths here to just kind of figure out, okay, what's the stretching sensation? I feel it stretching through my hips. Cool. How do my legs feel? Let me get some blood flow to my hips, my thighs. Let me work that back ankle, push the heel down, get some ankle mobility. And then when you're ready to the next thing, lower the hands to the blocks. You're going to come up into airplane. If you want to use super tall block or if you want to stack blocks, that's cool. And remember, as active as you can be as you want to be. So maybe that back leg is really active and you're reaching the toes back and squeezing the leg. Maybe it's a little lazy. That's okay. And we're pushing down through the front foot, so you're opening up through the hamstrings, but also feeling, right, the hip muscles work to help stabilize. Chest pulling forward and up. Some good balance, maybe a little wobbling through the ankles. That's a good thing. And then we step back to that lunge. Release the back knee down, coming into a low lunge position, right? And again, maybe the feet are further apart. Maybe they're closer together. Just depends on what you need right now. So this variation Austin's taking, we get a little bit more dorsiflexion, right? We get a little bit more work on the lower legs. If his feet were further apart, then you get more work on the hips. So totally up to you what you need. And just a couple breaths here, right? Just feel the stretch. Feels good. Feels good to open your hips. Might be resistant initially, but more you do this and as you breathe, tell your body that it's okay, then it feels better. All right, and we're going to go ahead and step up back to a standing position. Yep. And now we're going into that side bend. So right wrist to your left wrist or right hand to left wrist. And as you exhale, lean toward your right. Stretch the whole side body. Might feel some popping just through, those intercostals, maybe some opening up through the ribs. It's good stuff. It's also really good for your breathing too, not just your shoulders, but it can really help with breathing for workouts, but also from a stress perspective during the day. Then we'll switch sides. So you come back to the middle, swap your grip, deep breath in, lift up, and then go to the other side. Good. And remember, we're maintaining that strength. We're maintaining that height, not just collapsing to the side, but staying strong here. So yes, this is part stretching, but also building core strength. Both legs are straight. Austin's doing a good job of that. So we want to have both legs straight and engaged, core working. And then come back to the middle and go ahead and relax the hands. Maybe shake your arms out. Nice. All right, so we've got one more side. So arms come up one more time. Yep. And when you're ready, relax the hands down to the blocks. Bend your knees, hinge at the hips, just like you would for a deadlift. And then step back with your right foot. Good. Maybe taking a breath to kind of get set here in this lunge. Knee over the ankle and the front foot. Back heel pressing down. And then when you're ready, on an inhale, lift your arms up. And then some different options for the shoulders here, right? We can bring the elbows down to the shoulders if that feels good. You could do kind of like Y arms where you're not quite straight up, but more in Y arms. So lots of ways to open up your chest here to get your arms overhead and work on that shoulder mobility. Yeah. And then from here, hands come down to the blocks. Give you your super duper block again. And then from here, moving into airplane. So airplane can be really intense, but using the block, we can make it a little bit more focused on the flexibility, kind of restorative side, and just getting a little bit of blood flow, right? Not challenging yourself too much, but just a little bit of a boost for, you know, kind of getting your body going, recovery, flexibility. Trying to get your body as long as possible if you want to challenge yourself. Think from the toes all the way to the tip of your head. And then straighter through the leg to get deeper into the hamstrings, just maintaining this nice neutral back. All right, go ahead and step back, coming down into the low lunge or the kneeling lunge position. Yep. And then just allowing the hips to sink forward. You've done a lot of lower body to this point. We've got a lot of blood flow, so it's safe to go deeper into these stretches. So take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, relax deeper into that stretch. When you start to practice this more and you're able to recognize how your breath helps you with stretching, it's pretty powerful. So if you can do this stuff 2-3 times a week, that's when you're going to notice that it helps. All right. And we'll go ahead and stand up, coming into the final portion of this flow. Arms are overhead. What is it? We always say right hand, left wrist. Yes, that's the first one. Deep breath in, get tall. Lean to the side. Good. Yep, so basically banana shape with the body here, pushing down through the feet, lengthening up as you inhale, as you exhale, leaning a little bit deeper to the side. Good. Inhale back to the middle. Switch your grip. Breathe in. Yep. And we're to the side. You can also squeeze your arms back a little bit if you want to get a little more active through the upper back. It can also help with opening up a little bit more through the chest. Good. Nice stretch to the side of the body. Breathing, using that breath to go deeper into the stretch, but also just tell your body, hey, it's okay. We feel good here. All right, then come back to the middle. Relax the arms. Good. And then we can just finish off here with a little standing mountain pose. So toes are a couple inches apart. For most guys, that'll feel better. And then soft bend at the knees. Get a neutral spine, core engaged. Squeeze your butt a little bit and then straighten through your legs. Yep, so a little bit of core, a little bit of glute engagement. And then turn your palms to face forward. So chest is open, shoulder blades kind of pull toward one another. The shoulders will relax down as you do that. And pull your chin in toward your throat, almost like you're doing a chin tuck exercise. So not possible, but try to hide your beard under your chin. Yeah. And then so just spending a few breaths here at the end of all of that, just kind of checking in with your body. Right, this is a really powerful position, right? This is kind of like a variation of power pose, right? So you should feel pretty confident here using, if you can focus on the breath too, that's going to complement this. You'll feel a little bit more calm, a little bit more focused, a little more energized all at the same time. So just ending things with like kind of a mindful pose like this, or just mountain pose, it's a good way to end a flow. All right, and then come back to reality. Nice job. Okay, so we just went through another flow. This one was a little bit more intense. We had some balancing aspect to it. We also had a kneeling low lunge. We had a high lunge, airplane, went into some assisted side bending, and I think a back bend. So how do you feel after that?
I feel really great. And I think with weightlifting, a lot of the time we kind of smash ourselves into positions more passively.
Okay.
We kind of use, because we can't actively get there. I remember when I was first starting out weightlifting and doing more and more intense weightlifting and more volume of that weightlifting, I kind of have this excuse of, well, I can't get quite that deep, but once I really put some weight on, I'll get deep enough.
Okay.
That weight will kind of smash me into that range.
Got it.
And I think long term, that's not really the approach we want to take. We want to be
Yeah.
able to actively get there, be able to actively control that range.
You want to feel the weight the entire duration of the rep.
Right.
Okay.
And I think for the sake of, joint health and just longevity within the activity, right? Because we get the benefits over the long term doing it consistently. And I think the less risk of injury we could have, or kind of have that risk mitigation, the better off we are. So I think opening up those ranges before you go in, I think is smart. And I know that going into a session after doing that, I would feel much more equipped to go into those deeper ranges.
Yeah.
And the second thing that I wanted to mention there was really kind of the focus aspect of things. Because I feel like, especially with weightlifting, where we can maybe sometimes over caffeinate, get really hyped up, excited,
Okay.
kind of overstimulated, and you kind of go in with this heightened level of activity and response,
Yeah.
where you're very sympathetic, right? You're very fight or flight.
Yeah.
And I think being able to go in and focus and be a little bit more in a parasympathetic state and learn kind of how to go from that parasympathetic into that sympathetic rather
Okay.
than just going in purely
Yeah.
driven on, anxiety
Right.
or being over caffeinated.
Yeah.
So
So like your activation levels looks like, okay, I'm between sets. Now I'm lifting. Okay, now I'm back down. Now I'm actually lifting, and then you're kind of like,
yeah, and then recovery.
Not just like, I'm here.
Right. And your recovery, your nervous system and the way that it recovers, that's kind of what we want, right? And if your goal is to get stronger, especially, but even gain muscle, but we want that nervous system to kind of go through these undulations over time where it's, or throughout the workout, where it's like, I'm starting my set, I'm getting hyped, I'm starting to kind of have that internal visualization, that internal dialogue. All right, let's get this set. I'm ramping myself up, and learning that skill is important. But once I'm not doing that set any longer, I need to learn how to calm down. I need to learn how to sit, actually take a rest period, allow my nervous system to recover, and then learn how to get that back up in between. So there's that sort of even undulation across the session rather than just like, I'm hype and I'm just hyped the whole time. And again, I think when you're young, it can be easy to kind of like stick around for that.
Right.
But 20 years in at this point, I can't quite do that anymore.
Yeah,
So I have to come up with different strategies. And I think just because I survived it doesn't mean that I actually thrived within that.
Yeah.
And I'm learning that as I get older.
Yeah. Cool. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Big shout out to Austin Curran for teaming up with me on the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow for more. And I encourage you to save this video in particular. Use it multiple times per week if you can. That's when you're really going to notice the benefits. And if you want to check out another video in the series, go ahead and click above my shoulder right now, and let's get into it.